And thanks to Critical Cosmetics, the first hour of this show this evening is sponsored. My good friend Ravi, whose cosmetics are good enough to eat. And I know that because I eat them. Cosmetics are not really my thing. I'm kind of over the hill. I'm not sure how well they would work, although some people have remarked that I'm looking 10 minutes younger since I started using Critical Cosmetics, but I eat them every single night with my yogurt. That's how good and pure they are. They've got a special offer which we'll bring to you in an ad later in the hour. But it's a really good deal, samples and free shipping and all of that. So big thanks to Critical Cosmetics. Please visit their website, 220km, and you can see the kind of things I'm talking about. Now, on with the show. This is not about gay rights. I'm a Stonewall Award holder. I was fighting for gay rights when many of those who now parade their fidelity to the cause were still in short trousers. I was a pioneer in Parliament for gay rights, full and absolute pristine equality for gay people in Britain. No one can take that away from me. I am literally surrounded this evening by gay people. This has nothing to do with homosexuality. It has nothing to do with transsexuality. It has everything to do with exposing small children to premature sexualization. And it doesn't get much worse than the news that has broken today from, of all places, Markinch in Fife. If you have ever seen Markinch, you'll know how incongruous it is that the primary school there, to children as young as 5 and as old as 12, have been given a Scottish government questionnaire which grills them on their sexual orientation and questions them on their attitudes to other people's sexual orientation. This is far enough, Nicola Sturgeon. You're going to be free in 23, all right. Free of the encumbrance of office. For, as Ladbrokes just put it, you are rapidly closing to a red-hot favourite for the sack. Your time has run out, and your Gender Recognition Act, the GRA, which Keir Starmer is pledged to replicate on a UK level, will be written on your political gravestone. This infatuation, this madness in a douce wee Presbyterian country called Scotland goes so far against the grain that people have had enough. And there's a demonstration outside Holyrood, the Scottish Parliament, on the 12th of January. I'm hoping to be back in the country in time to join it myself. This has gone far enough. We want the scrapping of the Gender Recognition Act, and I warn Keir Starmer, if he makes this a platform of the Labour election campaign, we will be doing our best to defeat him. It's madness, not because we hate gay people, not because we hate trans people, not because we are anything other than for absolute equality amongst all people. As I say, I am myself literally surrounded by gay people. Some of my friends are trans people. I treat every person on this earth the way that they would want to be treated. But I have small children, you see. I have small children at primary school. I don't want them taught about sex, grilled about sex, encouraged to explore their gender when they're at primary school. Do you understand me, Nicola Sturgeon? Now, luckily, my children go to a Roman Catholic school. We have certain protections, although the churches have all been deathly quiet on this. Most important, of moral matters, all the churches, including my own. I send my children to a Roman Catholic school partly to protect them from the encroachment of woke attitudes to gender and sexuality. But most people in Scotland are sending their children to state non-denominational schools and are now prey, and I use that word advisedly, to these creeps that devise these questionnaires to be placed in front of small children who don't even know what they're talking about. My children don't even know what a sparrow is. Never mind a transgender person, a gay person, or a lesbian person. Why should they know? They're only 5, they're only 8. Why should they know? I don't want them to know. And they're my children, not yours, Nicola Sturgeon. You don't have any children. And as a matter of fact, a very significant number of your ministers don't have any children. And it shows. And it's a very great pity. It's a very great pity for you personally, but it's an even bigger pity for our country. This is not just a Scottish issue, because Keir Starmer, odds on to be Britain's next Prime Minister, at least after the general election, is pledged to take the same low road as Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP have taken. Unless Boris Johnson comes back, the Tories' goose is cooked. I don't know if Rishi eats goose, if he eats meat at all. I know nothing about his dietary habits, but he is dead meat. His goose is cooked. He is standing at 19% in the public opinion polls. Now, I warned the Tories. I mean, why should I warn them? I want them to be annihilated. But I warned them that if they got rid of Boris Johnson, this would happen. Then they picked somebody called Liz Truss momentarily. I know you've all forgotten about her, and the Tories wish that everyone would forget it ever happened. But she was 44 days, I think, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, give or take a day or two. Liz Truss has been replaced by somebody even less popular, with even less of the common touch. It's a bit hard to have the common touch when you are literally a billionaire. You're a British Prime Minister who is a billionaire, who has an American green card in his pocket, and who's never done a day's work except pushing derivatives in front of a computer screen. A man who knows nothing of life in Great Britain is our Prime Minister. It's a wonder he has 19% in the public opinion polls. The Tories are going to have to ditch him. However embarrassing it is to ditch Truss, then Rashid Sunak, as Joe Biden called him, in quick succession. It's going to have to be done. Because if the Tories poll 19%, and we'll know in May in the local elections just how badly in real world politics they're doing, if they poll 19%, Labour will win 550 seats in Parliament, and even Rashid Sunak will lose his seat in Parliament. Labour will have a Parliament that they don't just control, but a 2/3 majority in the Parliament. It would be unprecedented. Now, the Tories are nothing if not pragmatic. And so let me give them this bit of pragmatic advice. You may not win under Boris Johnson. In fact, you almost certainly will lose. But you won't be reduced to 120 MPs, or 110 actually. You won't lose virtually every parliamentary seat you currently hold if Boris Johnson is your leader. So, as I want the next election to at least be competitive, because I could think of nothing, that's a big statement, more frightening than Tony Blair's new Labour Party having 550 seats in the British House of Commons, as I want the election to be at least more competitive than it is currently looking. I'm advising the Tories to bring back Boris. Now, given the money he's been earning, you might not be able to tempt him back. After all, you didn't exactly treat him well when you had him. But if you don't, if you stick with Sunak, if you think you can rub along with Rishi, you are headed for oblivion. And the British economy is already tanking. As I said in my monologue on Sunday, Britain is the worst affected country in the entire industrialized world from the current convection of conflicts and problems, crises and dilemmas of any developed economy. Britain is the worst. Our recession is going to be deeper than absolutely everyone else's, including Germany, hitherto imagined to be the worst affected. This confluence of high energy prices, although gas prices are falling for everyone except the customers that are using the gas. Go figure that one. Petrol and diesel prices are falling for everyone except those that are using the diesel and the petrol. Go figure that one. But the unemployment, the rate of inflation, which may well reach 15% by April, with mortgage rates accordingly dragged up, debt burdens simply uncarryable by the mass of the population, unable to afford that which is increasingly less available in the shops because of the cost of freight, transport, diesel, and all the rest, and the cost of energy, which is leading to companies closing like Billio. Britain will have more business failures in the next 12 months, according to the Bank of England, than any other country in the world, and I include Burkina Faso. Our businesses, 15% of them are going to fail this year. And this year has only just begun. Next year will be even worse. Our economy is in a nosedive, the bottom of which cannot yet be discerned. And as we are all at sea economically, we are led by a pygmy political class. You're allowed to say that now. A pygmy, dwarfish political class that couldn't lace the boots of the political class that ruled Britain, including in the Conservative Party, for so very long. When I entered Parliament 35 years ago, you had 100 people who could credibly contend and claim that they could be Prime Minister by the afternoon. Now we have Prime Ministers who can't claim credibly that they can be the Prime Minister. So we're in very serious trouble. But especially on the subject of war and peace. Put this date in your diary. On the 25th of February in central London will be a no to NATO, no to war rally, bang in the center of London, venue to be announced in the next few days. And when it is announced, you better register your interest immediately because it will sell out. Because the speakers are me, Chris Williamson, Claire Daly, MEP, Mick Wallace, MEP, Max Blumenthal, Anya Parampil, and all kinds of giants I'm going to keep up my sleeve. I'm going to announce them week by week until February the 25th. in central London. It's a Saturday. It'll be all day. Put it in your diary now and make sure you're there. Just a few days before that, there's going to be a monster rally in Washington, D.C. on the same subject. No to NATO, no to war. We haven't given up on life yet. We are not going to allow these gerontocratic, imbecilic, slavering warmongers to destroy our planet for our children and their children that may forever be unborn. We are not prepared to be dragged into war with Russia and China over the Paracel Islands, or whether or not Kupiansk should be in East Ukraine or West Ukraine. We don't give a toss. Not a toss. It's not our business. Our business is fixing our own people's lives at home. Our business is making sure our economy doesn't tank and sink. Our business is making sure our children have a decent school with a decent curriculum to go to. Our business is ending the collapse of the National Health Service, which is buckling, bending, breaking under the pressure this winter, and the winter isn't nearly over yet. Our business is making sure our own borders are secure, not redrawing other people's borders. Our business is making sure that our armed forces are defending our island, not imperiling other people's. Our business is making sure that this vortex in which our culture, in which our society is currently sucked and sinking, this vortex is broken from. That we reset. People talk about the Great Reset. I'm in favor of a reset, just not the same one that the World Economic Forum have in mind. I want to reset relations between Britain and Europe, Britain and America, Britain and Russia and China, Britain and the world. I want to reset relations between those that do the work in our economy and those that cream the profits from our economy. I want to reset the relationship between the state and the private sector in our economy. I want to reset workers' rights to what they once were and always should have been. I want to reset justice in our country so that instead of Julian Assange wasting away in a dungeon, it's the criminals he exposed that are in the dock and on trial, and if found guilty, sent to prison for the rest of their lives. All of this is up for debate, of course. You can call the show and have your say. After all, it is the mother of all talk shows.